Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Paramananda Madhavam. Okay, let's read the verses that we covered last time. So we're going to read from verse number 32, 32, 33, 34. Let us read those verses. Atmopam yena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham vayadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogastvaya proktaha samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitim sthiram chanchalam hi manah krishna pramathi balavadridham Tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. So what Bhagavan Shri Krishna said is, the result of this knowledge is the vision of oneness, and it's actually universal love. So you will see in our Shastras, we have Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Everybody is one family. So the person who realizes the truth of themselves, that I am that true self and that same self is in all beings, what is their life like? Atmopamyena. They see themselves in everyone. And in this way, they don't want to cause any harm to anyone. And they always see what they can do to be of joyful service to someone. And if somebody is feeling joyous, feeling joyful, then they revel in that joy with them. And if somebody is feeling sad and sorrowful, then they are compassionate towards them. So they interact with each person, each being as required. And we saw many examples of this. And, a question came that, but what about if we don't want to harm anyone. We don't want to do injustice to anyone. Why is there, war? Why is there things like this? Why did Arjuna have to fight Duryodhana, right? If it's atmopamyena, if he doesn't want to cause anyone sorrow, why does he have to fight Duryodhana? Remember that from the standpoint of pure awareness, we are all one. But in this transactional reality, we all understand that everybody has a role to play. So Arjuna knew that this, now as he is learning that he is that pure Atman, and this Arjuna, this is a role that he has to play. And in this role, he is a Kshatriya. And in the long term, him not fighting Duryodhana will cause more sorrow to everybody else, right? So what we have to keep thinking about is how can we minimize sorrow for the maximum people? Sometimes if we do not have, if we cause sorrow to one person, right, it might mean that the others will be okay by it. Others will be, raised by it. Like in the case of Duryodhana, if Arjuna were to harm Duryodhana, then what would happen is everybody would actually be protected from Duryodhana's unjust ruling. So in that way, we have to think about our lives also, in our vyavahara, in our transactional reality. How can we minimize sorrow for the maximum people? Not just for one person, but for the maximum people. And keeping in mind that we are all pure awareness, it is true, but we all have our roles to play in life. And in fact, in Mahabharata, there's even an incident where all of them see each other. All of them meet each other and hug each other. The Kauravas and the Pandavas, because this is in another loka. They all meet each other and they hug each other because they understand that everyone had to play their part. Some had to play the part of a hero, some had to play the part of a villain, right? So in this way, atmopamyena, what can we do to live in that unity and avoid sorrow for maximum people? Now, Arjuna has a question for Shri Krishna in verse number 33. He says, Shri Krishna, this yoga that you have talked about is very beautiful. And the only way to get rooted in this vision of oneness, in being able to actually live like that, is to contemplate deeply upon it, right? It's to contemplate, to sit, to meditate on it. That's the way to get rooted in this oneness. So I too, Arjuna feels that I too want to get rooted in this oneness. But Shri Krishna, there's something that I have to tell you. That I see that my mind is chanchala, means it's shaky. It's pretty shaky. And it is shaky and I'm not able to focus. I might be able to hold the thought for one moment, but after that, after a few minutes, my mind just goes in all kinds of directions. So what am I supposed to do with my mind? And in verse 34, he tells Shri Krishna that I'm even going to go deeper into what my mind is. Not only is it chanchal, not only is it restless, it means it just keeps moving, keeps wavering from one thing to another. But it is also pramati. It is pramati, means it is turbulent. It's turbulent. It's like so chaotic. It can cause so much chaos, this mind. And not only is it turbulent, but it's balavat. It is so strong. It's so strong. And I feel like controlling this mind is as difficult as controlling the wind. Imagine a big, big hurricane or tornado, or there's just strong winds blowing. How do you control that? So I'm finding this very impossible, Shri Krishna. When something is restless, it's not that big of a deal. If you think of a dog, right? A dog could be restless, just jumping and moving around from place to place and his tongue sticking out. But that dog could be restless and turbulent, meaning not only restless, but he's moving stuff all over the place and destroying things all over the place. He's restless and turbulent. Okay, so if he's restless and turbulent, why not stop him? I can't stop him because he's a German Shepherd. He's so strong. He's taller than me. He's bigger than me. It seems like it's impossible. I wouldn't know what to do with him, right? So when we get this combination that's restless, that is turbulent, that is strong, it seems like, how do we even attempt to do anything? So Arjuna is happy in one way that Shri Krishna has given him this knowledge, but is sad in one way because he doesn't know how to stay rooted in it. And so we are now in verse 35, where Shri Krishna is going to tell Arjuna what to do. Now, just as we saw in this chapter how important the previous verses were, right? Verses 30, 31, 30, actually 29, 30, 31, 32, the Tattvamasi and the Atmopamyena. This verse is also often quoted and very important in chapter 6. So let's chant this verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Asamshayam Mahabaho
Asamshayam Mahabaho
Mano Durnigraham Chalam
Mano Durnirgraham Chalam
Abhyasena tu Kaunteya
Abhyasena tu Kaunteya
Vairagyena cha Grihyate
Vairagyena cha Grihyate
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Grihyate. So Shri Krishna says, Asamshayam, undoubtedly Mahabaho, O mighty armed one, Manaha here means mind, Durnigraham, it's difficult to control, and it's Chalam, it is restless. Tu, but Abhyasena tu Kaunteya, but through practice, Abhyasena, through practice, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, and Vairagyena, through Vairagya, cha Grihyate, it is restrained. So Bhagavan said, undoubtedly, O mighty armed one, the mind is difficult to control and it is restless. But by practice, O son of Kunti, and by dispassion, it is restrained. So let's see how Bhagavan Krishna teaches Arjuna here. First, Arjuna has a doubt, and Shri Krishna says, Asamshayam Mahabaho, means Arjuna, you are right. You are right. The mind is difficult to control. Mano Durnigraham, it is difficult. But Bhagavan Krishna says it's not impossible. And how he indicates this is Arjuna said Chanchalam, but Shri Krishna says Chalam, right? Arjuna says Chanchalam means it's very restless, and Shri Krishna says Chalam, it's restless. It's restless, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. And so first he accepts what Arjuna says. He says, Arjuna, you are right. And that's the best way to speak to someone when they have so many doubts and they come to you. First, accept what they're saying. And Shri Krishna calls Arjuna Mahabaho, means, oh mighty armed soldier. You are that Arjuna who's Mahabaho. He's reminding Arjuna, how many great wars have you fought and won? And by this word Mahabaho, he's also saying, you are that one who actually fought with Bhagavan Shiva. In Mahabharata, there is that episode where Arjuna has to fight with Shiva so that he can get the blessing of the Pashupatastra. So you are that Mahabaho. What are you talking about? You have conquered, you have defeated, you have won. And not only Arjuna are you Mahabaho, but you are Kaunteya. You are the son of Kunti. Do you know how strong your mother is? Do you know what it's like to raise 5 sons? And those 5 sons like Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva. And how much titiksha she had all throughout. And she never gave up on them. Till the end she was with them. So you are the son of that Kunti who had so much endurance. She raised all of you and then she had to be apart from you. And still she was completely fine. And in the end, when you were all about to give up, she made you rise up. You are the son of that Kunti. So don't think it's impossible. And I will give you these 2 methods. And when I give you these 2 methods and you apply them, for sure the mind can be restrained. It can be brought under control. What are these 2 methods? The first one is called Abhyasa. Abhyasa means practice. Practice. See, the language of the mind and the language of the intellect are very different. The language of the intellect is conviction. When we listen to something in satsang and we get convinced about it, the intellect is kept in check. Intellect says, yes, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. Intellect is so convinced. But the mind, the language of the mind is not conviction. It's repetition. It's practice. So even if the intellect is convinced, I'm convinced that I want to wake up early every day, the mind says, okay, but you didn't ask me. You're convinced, but I'm not convinced, right? The mind's language is different. It is compared to like the mahout and the elephant. The mahout, or the one who's training the elephant, the mahout knows exactly what direction to go. But the mahout, the one who's training the elephant, cannot tell the elephant, go right, go left, go straight, slow down. No, no, no. The mahout has to train the elephant. Again, repeated practice. This is how you go right. This is how you go left. This is how you slow down. This is how you speed up. By repeated practice, the elephant gets it. Even if the mahout tells the elephant, don't go by that path because it's too slippery, the elephant doesn't get it. It just goes that path. But when the elephant goes that path and learns how slippery it is, then by practice, the elephant goes through another path. So the language of the mind is repetition. That's what's required for the mind. That's why change doesn't happen right away, even though we're convinced. The first way to change is through our intellectual conviction. But after that, we must also have that constant repetition and constant practice, because that's how the mind works. It does not work through logic. It works through love and practice. And if we think about our lives, it is not actually that we don't have the ability to focus. We have the ability. We have the ability because yesterday was the Super Bowl. Huh? Those who are watching Super Bowl, how focused are they on Super Bowl? They could tell they're so focused on who has the ball, who's passing it to who makes the shot, and all the players are so focused on how this one runs and how that one runs, and that one goes this way and that one turns around. So incredibly focused. So the focus is there. We have it. When we're watching a movie, how focused are we when we're watching a movie? We don't even want to be distracted. We don't want anyone to call us, anyone to do anything. We just want to focus and watch that movie. Now there is in New York City, there's so many ads for this Shen Yun, the Chinese dancers, right? What focus they must have to do all of those acrobatic strategies. And in the Republic Day parade, there was a Nari Shakti. They were all on motorbikes and they were riding through Kartavya Path. And in all of the way that they're standing, the way that they're climbing on top of each other, they had so much focus. So it's not that we don't have it. We have it, but we have it for only specific things. We have it for maybe football, a game, a movie, or we have it for the phone, WhatsApp chatting or social media, but we might not have it for prayer, puja, practice. So it is just that we have to change the direction of the focus because we already have that. And how do we change that direction of the focus? Through repeated efforts. And remember, as I mentioned to the Devi group, that simple things that we do now so naturally were not natural to us. Talking was not natural to us. We were not born speaking like this. We could not even speak. We could not even speak. Walking was not natural to us. We were not born walking out of our mother's stomach. We were crawling out of our mother's stomach. And slowly, slowly, we learned how to walk, and we fell so many times. And eating was also not natural to us. Eating, some people love to eat every day. It's so natural. We want to eat all the time. But that was not natural. So even the simplest things in life that we just do so naturally were not natural at all to us. It took not 1 month, a lot of time for us to speak. How much time did it take us to learn the alphabet, to pronounce the alphabets, and then to say complete sentences? That took so much time, right? So all things in life come by practice. And when we do practice, what happens is it starts to become so natural. Like a mother of one child, her first baby, and she's kind of wondering how to take care of the child, how to hold the child, how to change the diaper. Why is the child crying? Is the child hungry? Is the child dirty? Why is the child crying? So many things she's wondering. But when you see now, then she has 3 kids. They're so natural. One's on her lap, one's on either side. She's feeding all of them. She's taking care of all of them. She walks with all of them. She takes care like it's so easy and so flawless. So like that, everything takes practice. Everything. And every practice also yields results in its own time. We can't expect that, okay, I've been meditating for 1 month, but I don't see any results. Well, people have been doing it for years together. So it takes time to yield its results. Now, what is the nature of the abhyasa here? What is the nature of the practice that is pointed out here? The nature of the practice is that Aham Brahmasmi, that contemplation on I am the self. Because remember, this chapter is on meditation. So the practice is on how to meditate, to sit quietly, to close our eyes, to bring that knowledge to the mind, that knowledge that I am pure Brahman, I am pure awareness, and all of this is an appearance in me. To bring that knowledge repeatedly to the mind. Having understood it, to sit down, to contemplate on it, to make it deeper, so that in and through my vyavahara, in and through my transactional life, the knowledge is seamlessly flowing. This is the abhyasa that is to be done. This is the practice that Shri Krishna is talking about. And if we just keep doing it and doing it properly, then we will see its results. Now, sometimes in the beginning it may be hard, but please remember, everything in the beginning was hard. Nothing in the beginning was easy. Every single thing that we started with was tough. But once we keep at it and keep going at it, it becomes actually enjoyable. It starts to become enjoyable. This abhyasa doesn't have to be like, oh no, I have to sit down and do my sadhana and meditate. No, it can actually be quite enjoyable. Now is my opportunity to sit quietly, to connect to my deepest self. So, abhyasena. Then Shri Krishna says that abhyasa is not enough. What's also required is vairagya. And this vairagya keeps coming up again and again in this chapter especially. Now what Gurudev says very beautifully here in the book, he says on page 104, that vairagya or detachment is from all clinging attachments to objects of the world and from the lingering expectations of the fruits of action. Because what happens is, when we slowly practice to put our mind into the knowledge of who we are, contemplate in the knowledge of who we are, and we can get quite deep in it, but there might be explosions of other things, other desires, our constant attachment to the world of objects, beings, circumstances, our attachment, our attraction towards them, our wanting to experience them, our wanting to, interact with them. So constantly those attachments, those attractions, they distract our mind. So even if our mind wants to focus, it's getting pulled by something else. And not just that pulls away the mind, but it's also the expectations of the fruits of actions. As Gurudev said, it is like our worries, our tensions, all kinds of things. What will happen in the future? This also takes away the attention. So when we sit for meditation, the mind is able to focus maybe for some time, but it gets pulled away. It gets pulled away. That's why I had mentioned last time that Bhagavan Shri Krishna is the one who pulls, right? He pulls all of these things away and pulls people towards him. That is Krishna. So this vairagya is also equally important. Now, what is the nature of this vairagya or detachment? See, detachment is not a forceful thing. We must not think of detachment as a forceful thing that I have to let go, I have to let go. If that's our attitude, we will not let go. Detachment is growing towards the higher and therefore growing out of the lower. Because I'm growing towards the higher, Because I'm more attracted towards the higher, towards divine things, then I'm growing out of the lower naturally. It's a natural ripening. So, what seekers have to do is keep attaching themselves to that which is higher. Attach to the higher to detach from the lower. Attach to the sadhu sangama. They say sadhu sangama means our saints and sages, attached to our scriptures, attached to Bhagavan. At these three things, right? Attaching to scriptures, attaching to Bhagavan, attaching to Guru Parampara. These three things, once our mind is attached towards that, then it's easy to detach from the lower. And that's the nature of vairagya. So, one way to cultivate that is to keep attaching ourselves to the higher. And these desires for worldly things just leave us. The objects themselves, the people leave us, but also the taste for them leaves us. Now, a deeper meaning of this is abhyasa here means Brahma Satyam. Brahma Satyam means Brahman alone is truth. And that is the practice. Brahman alone is truth. And the vairagya or the detachment is Jagat is mithya. Means this world is an appearance. Because another way to gain vairagya is this. See, when people tell us that joys here are temporary, they're temporary, that is not enough for us to detach. Because we don't want, we don't want a permanent pizza. We want temporary pizza, right? I just want pizza today. I feel like having it. Nobody wants permanent pizza. We want to enjoy a temporary show. We don't want a permanent show to go on again and again and again. So we ourselves don't want these permanent things. We know they are temporary enjoyments, but we still want the temporary enjoyment. Why not? Why not? But once we realize that this temporariness is actually a falsity, then will we actually want it? I'll give you a story that Puja Guruji gives, which is one of my favorite stories and one that I think about quite often. He says that he went for a bhiksha, and when he went there, there was a nice plate of mangoes on the table. Nice plate of mangoes on the table. And he was sitting down and people were serving him food. Now, he kept looking at the mangoes and they looked really nice. So he felt joy. He felt like, wow, what would it be to eat one of those mangoes? And then he felt sorrow because they're not serving him mango. They're serving him everything else but mango. So many different kinds of food came to the table and there's no mango. So finally, he told everybody, okay, everybody go to the other room and I will come. Go to the other room and I will come for a question and answer session or whatever it is. So everyone was leaving. And finally he says, now I can have my mango. I just want my mango. And he reaches out to grab it. And what happens is it's a fake mango. It's a fake mango. So now what happens? There's no joy, no sorrow, no wanting the mango, no being sad that he didn't get the mango because there is no mango. Right? So, when we understand that this world is actually just an appearance, it's an appearance, it's not actual there. It does not exist on its own. This world is nothing but actually me, an appearance in me. Then why are we going to run after it? Or why are we going to run away from it? Why? When we truly understand that all this just depends on consciousness, just depends on awareness. It's nothing but a play of consciousness. Why are we running after it? Hmm? When we have seen that the mirage water is a mirage, why are we still running there to get water? Hmm? So therefore, this vairagya, a deeper meaning, is also understanding that this is an appearance. And when that has set in, then the distractions go away. Because one is not wanting the world anymore for anything. Hmm? Then the question might come to your mind is, then one would live like a vegetable. What would you do? Huh? If nobody goes to the world, engages in the world, what would you do? It's actually a beautiful way to live, is not to go out and get engaged in the world because we want to, not out of our own selfish desire, but it is that of becoming an instrument of Bhagavan. Hmm? To those who have realized, understood this fact, it is as though everything gets revealed to them and they do whatever is revealed to them. Remember, our dharma is not to go out and pursue the world. Our dharma is to purify ourselves. And the more we purify ourselves, our minds, our intellects, the more we purify ourselves, the more we understand what we are supposed to do. The more we are in tune with what exactly we are supposed to do in this birth, here and now. Hmm? So that is the way a beautiful seeker lives, spending their time on purifying themselves and just staying in tune with what is to come next. Hmm? But without that ego, wanting, hoarding, aggrandizing, without that kind of thing happening. So therefore, abhyasa and vairagya, both are incredibly important. Abhyasa, Brahma Satyam, Vairagya, Jagan Mithya. And the constant repetition and the enjoyment in that. With that, Shri Krishna says, the mind can be brought under control. Don't worry, Arjuna, there is a way. This is the way to work with the mind. Because the mind is not like the senses that you can shut. The eyes, if you don't want to see, you can close. No? Because the sense of seeing, the golaka, the place where it resides is here. The ear, the sense of hearing, if you don't want to hear, you can close. If we don't want to smell, we can close the nose. If we don't want to eat, we can hold our lips. If we don't want to touch anybody, we can put our hands like this. But the mind, the seat of the mind, the seat of the mind's expression is the heart. So we cannot close it physically. It's going to be open. And therefore the means is different. It's abhyasa and it's vairagya. Okay, now Shri Krishna is going to reiterate this little deeper to Arjuna so that the understanding gets firm. We're on verse 36 now. Asangyatatmana yogaha
असंयतात्मना योगः
dushprapa iti me matihi
दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः
vashyatmana tu yatata
वश्यात्मना तु यतता
shakyo vaptumupayatah
शक्यो वाप्तुमुपायतः
asayyatatmana yogaha dushprapa iti me matihi Vashyatmana tu yatata shakyo vaptumupayatah. So what he says here, now you'll see the words Atma, Atma here. Atma doesn't mean Atma, that pure awareness, consciousness. Atma here means the person, okay? Asanyatatmana means by the person who is not controlled. Samyata means controlled. Asamyata, the one who does not have control. Asamyatatmana, by the person who does not have control of themselves. Yogaha, this yoga is dushprapa. It is hard to attain, difficult to attain. Lord Krishna says, this is me matihi, this is my opinion. Vashyatmana, but the one who is vashyatmana, the one who is self-controlled, who knows how to control themselves, tu yatata, and by the one who is striving, shakyaha avaptum, it is possible to obtain upayataha, by the proper means. So here he says, yoga, I think it is hard to be attained by one of uncontrolled self, but the self-controlled striving can obtain it by proper means. So the one who does not use these means, see, everything also has the right kind of means. Something might seem completely impossible, but if we use the right means, it's highly possible. For example, to break a big building down might seem like, wow, how do you do it? But if you get a truck, if you hire a truck, one of those construction trucks, and they're able to get the lever and they're able to smash on it, then they're able to break it down with that. And it's not that hard for them because they're using the right means. But when we use the wrong means, even a little thing becomes hard. I'm sure many of us have done this. You got a box, a package, and it's taped, really taped. And then you use your keys to try to open it. That's hard. You should use scissors, right? We should use scissors or a blade. So if we use the right means, something that looks difficult can actually be quite easy. And if we use the wrong means, something that's so easy, like opening a box, can be so difficult. So Shri Krishna says, by the right means, it is possible. And the means is abhyasa, this practice, and vairagya, this detachment or dispassion. Now here we can remember the example given in Kathopanishad, wherein the intellect is the charioteer and the reins are the mind, right? So for one, let us say if one is riding a horse, right? If the reins, you just let go of the reins, then the horse will do whatever it wants to do. It will go wherever it wants to go because we're just letting it free. And it's going to while away all its time. But if we hold the reins and direct the horse, okay, now you go left, now you go right, now you go up, then we will actually make it to our destination. For those who travel in the Himalayas, and if sometimes you have to ride a horse, if you go to Yamunotri, or if we go to Kedarnath, sometimes they ride a horse, right? And when riding the horse, do you think if we just let go of the reins and sit there, will the horse go up? Will the horse make it to Kedarnath? No, it's not going to go there. It's just going to sit there. But if someone holds the reins and says, okay, you go up, you go left, you go right, slow down, it's slippery, speed up, then we will make it. So in the same way, asamyatatmana means the one who does not control their mind, the mind meaning the reins, right? And the charioteer or the person riding is the intellect. The person who does not control them, it's going to be dushprapa, it's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard. But the one who's able to sit and control vashyatmana, the one who's vashyatmana, and not only does one have to be vashyatmana, skilled in controlling the horse, but striving yatata means this person is not giving up. This person keeps going. Because if you've ridden the horse, sometimes, they'll stop because they want to eat something or they want to go meet their friend or something like that. So constantly, yatata, constantly keep striving. And if a person keeps striving, then shakyaha avaptum upayatah. Certainly, it will come under control to a great extent. And this is what we should do. This is what we should strive for. In the day, think about how many times were we able to restrain the mind under our control. How many times were we able to tell the mind, okay, now this is what you have to do. Okay, now this is what you have to do. It's literally like a child. Think that many people have children, but this is the child. This is the child. And they call brain child. This is the child. And we have to keep working with it. Keep working with it. It's a non-stop process. And some people say, this Vedanta is quite hard because I'm not interested in the world anymore. I'm not interested in going out and socializing and doing all of these things anymore. But I'm not also a Brahmagnani. I have not also realized Brahman. So where can I find my joy? Because I'm not finding joy out in the world, in the social functions and chasing after this and that. And I'm not finding joy in Brahman. So where is my joy? I'm bitter only. The joy of a Vedantin is in their practice. When we keep practicing sincerely and we are able to make it, then therein lies the joy. The joy is in being able to live correctly, live wisely, being able to win over our minds, being able to slowly transform our lives and slowly transform the lives of others. That's where a seeker can find their joy. And so that's why this word yatata is important, because it's a constant, I would say, practice, but enjoyable practice. Remember, it's an enjoyable practice. It is not like that there was some movie or some series. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? If you're riding in a car and you're going somewhere and then people ask, are you there yet? How many more minutes? How many more minutes? How many more stops? And they keep checking. How much more time? How much more time? It's not that kind of thing. It's a kind of thing where every step of ours is actually blessed. We are blessed to be able to walk on such a path. It's that kind of thing, right? So yatata. So one who is able to control, restrain the mind, and one who strives. And this is non-negotiable. So we cannot realize the truth without going through this step. Now, Arjuna listened to Bhagavan Krishna, but he has a question. He says, now, what if? And people love this question because some people feel like, nah, I'm not going to do it in this life. To vairagya, abhyasa, this is too much for me. So next life. And this is Arjuna's question also. We will read his question, but it says that, what about those who really, really try really hard, but they don't make it in this life? What happens to them? So let us read verse number 37. Arjuna uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
ayati shradayopetaha
ayate shraddhayopedaha
योगाचलितमानसः
योगाच्छलितमानसः
अप्राप्य योगसंसिद्धिं
अप्राप्य योगसंसिद्धिम्
का गतिं कृष्ण गच्छति.
काङ्गतिं कृष्ण गच्छति.
अर्जुन उवाच अयति श्रद्धयोपेतः योगाच्चलितमानसः अप्राप्य योगसंसिद्धिं कां गतिं कृष्ण गच्छति. So Arjuna says, now what if there was somebody, right, who is ayatihi? Ayatihi means, here means who's put forth effort, but the effort has not reached its fullness. This is what ayatihi means. Shraddhayopetaha, the one who's endowed with faith. Shraddha. Upetaha means the one who's possessed, endowed with faith. And yoga chalita manasaha, one whose mind who wandered away from yoga for some reason or the other. Aprapya yoga samsiddhim, they have not attained perfection in yoga. Aprapya, they have not attained perfection in yoga. Kam gatim Krishna gacchati, what happens to them, Shri Krishna? So Arjuna said, the one who possessed of faith, and ayati, as I said, means more the one whose effort has not reached its fulfillment. And yoga chalita manasaha, for some reason the mind is wandered away from yoga and they were not able to reach perfection. Where do they go? So first, see, there are two kinds of people, right? Here, and Shri Krishna will give the answer also to how these people come back or what happens to them. There are some people now who have, category one is the people who have put forth a lot of effort. They have put forth a lot of effort. They have really worked on themselves. Huh? And Shraddha, they have faith in the path. They have absolute faith in the path. But for some reason, their prarabdha karma was over. Prarabdha karma, that karma which gave birth to the present body, that's over. So their body now died. And this is a sincere yogi. This is a sincere yogi who put forth effort, who had so much faith, but because their prarabdha karma was over, the body died. This is number one. Case number two is there's somebody who put forth effort also, who put forth effort, who had faith, but still had some vasanas remaining. There were still some vasanas remaining that they couldn't let go of. And that's why they couldn't reach that true state of perfection. So in these two cases, they were both striving and they both tried to make it, but they couldn't do it. What happens to them? Are all their practices, is all the knowledge that they've gained, is everything just a waste? Or is there some hope for them? So the answer to this we will see next week, so that you can also be in suspense, right? So I'll just spend a few moments summarizing what we did. Today, a very, very important verse we did is Shri Krishna told Arjuna, yes, I accept the mind is difficult to control, but remember the mind is not impossible to control. And you are Arjuna, you are Mahabaho, you are Kaunteya. your birth is not for sweeping the floors, Arjuna. You're a mighty warrior. And if you've fought many wars, you can definitely fight this one. The mind may be chanchal, it may be restless, it may be pramati, it may be turbulent, it may be strong, balavat. But if one has abhyasa, constant practice, and vairagya, that dispassion or detachment, then one can definitely get rooted in this yoga, in this vision of oneness, of seeing that self in every single being. And with abhyasa, everything happens by abhyasa. It's not that things just naturally came to us. We put forth lots of effort to do the basic things in life, such as walking and talking and bathing and eating. So this too, spiritual practice, requires effort. And just like it took time, a lot of time for us to learn even these basic skills, it takes time for spiritual sadhana to yield fruit. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't enjoy the journey. As I said, the joy in Vedanta is in its practice. Enjoy the journey. And vairagya means being able to let go of all of our attachments and attraction to the world outside and our expectations for the results of our actions. And we can do so by two methods that were pointed out. One is attaching to the higher. When we attach to the higher, detachment from the lower is automatic. It will happen. Higher meaning our scriptures, Bhagavan, our Guru Parampara. Or a deeper meaning is also really understanding that this world is an appearance in me. Because we may run away or towards a temporary thing, but we will never run away or towards a false thing. Therefore, abhyasa can be seen as Brahma Satyam and Vairagya as Jagan Mithya. And for the one who's able to utilize these practices, for sure their mind can come under control. But for the one who's not able to utilize these practices, for sure their mind will not come under control. But of course, there are those who try, who strive to make it, but they don't reach that perfection here and now. What will happen to them? They too will have an opportunity, and we will see that next week. Okay? So let's say the closing prayer, then any questions and comments we can take after. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.